Here's the truth most people are afraid to say out loud. When she says she's done, when she acts cold, when she pretends you meant nothing, it doesn't automatically mean she's moved on. In many cases, it means the opposite. Because if you truly meant nothing, there would be no performance, no emotional armor, no need to rewrite history. Indifference is quiet. What you're seeing is not indifference, it's resistance. And resistance only shows up when something still has power over the heart. Human beings don't detach from meaningful bonds overnight, especially not from bonds where emotion, identity, and validation were deeply intertwined. When a woman can't let you go, it's rarely because she's weak or confused. It's because the connection touched something deeper than attraction. It touched her sense of self. You weren't just someone she dated. You became a reference point, a mirror, a chapter that changed how she sees relationships, how she sees men, and sometimes how she sees herself. One of the real reasons she struggles to let go is emotional imprinting. When someone experiences intense emotional moments with you, laughter, vulnerability, arguments, reconciliation, passion, those moments wire themselves into memory. The brain doesn't remember people as they are, it remembers how they made us feel. Even if the relationship had problems, even if it ended painfully, the emotional highs leave a residue. And that residue doesn't disappear just because she decided to walk away. Another reason is unfinished emotional business. Closure is rare. Most relationships don't end with everything neatly resolved. Words go unsaid, apologies remain unspoken, questions linger in the background. When she thinks about you, it's not always about wanting you back. Sometimes it's about wanting answers, validation, or a different ending. The mind replays scenarios, imagining how things could have gone if one moment had changed. That loop keeps you alive in her thoughts. Even when she tells herself she's done, there's also the role of ego. When a woman invests time, energy, and emotion into someone, walking away means accepting that investment didn't lead where she hoped. That's not easy for anyone. Letting go of you means letting go of the version of the future she imagined. And when she sees you growing, improving, or staying emotionally grounded without chasing her, it challenges the story she told herself to cope with the breakup. If she convinced herself you were replaceable or insignificant, your quiet strength threatens that narrative. She may also struggle because you represented safety at some point. Even flawed relationships can feel familiar, and familiarity feels safe to the nervous system. When life becomes uncertain, when new connections don't measure up, the mind drifts back to what once felt known. This doesn't mean she should return. It means part of her associates you with comfort, with a version of herself that felt desired or understood. Letting go of that can feel like stepping into emotional uncertainty. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think the solution is to remind her of what she's missing, to explain, to argue, to chase. But the more you try to convince someone of your value, the more you confirm their power over you. Real impact doesn't come from words. It comes from absence paired with growth. When you stop trying to be understood and start becoming undeniable, something shifts. If she acts like you meant nothing, that behavior often serves a purpose. It's a defense mechanism. By minimizing your importance, she protects herself from feeling the loss fully. Acknowledging that you mattered would force her to confront pain, regret, or longing, so she chooses emotional numbing instead. But numbing doesn't heal, it delays. And delayed emotions have a way of resurfacing when you least expect them to. There's also the reality that attraction doesn't always die with a decision. Logic and emotion don't move at the same speed. She may intellectually believe the relationship is over while emotionally still being attached. That inner conflict creates mixed signals, cold one moment, curious the next, distant yet watching, silence, but not forgetting. This is why you might notice her checking your social media, asking about you through mutual friends, or reacting when she sees you thriving. Those behaviors aren't accidents. They're symptoms of unresolved attachment. But here's the most important part, and this is where your power lies. Her inability to let you go is not something you should feed on or exploit. It's not an invitation to wait, to pause your life, or to stay emotionally available just in case. The strongest position you can take is forward motion, not out of spite, out of self-respect. When you focus on your purpose, your discipline, your health, and your inner calm, you become a living contradiction to the version of you she expected after the breakup. Growth creates distance, and distance creates clarity. When she sees that you didn't crumble, didn't beg, didn't chase validation, something deep inside her recalibrates. You're no longer the man she left behind. You become the man she underestimated. And that realization can be uncomfortable because it forces her to question whether letting go was as easy or as final as she pretended. Understand this clearly: the goal is not to make her regret leaving. The goal is to outgrow the need for her confusion to matter. When you reach that place, you stop analyzing her actions, you stop decoding her signals, you stop waiting for acknowledgement. And paradoxically, that's often when the emotional weight shifts back to her. Not because you planned it, but because authenticity is magnetic. Some connections are meant to end, but not all endings are meant to be clean. Sometimes people cross our path to wake something up in us, to teach us boundaries, resilience, or self worth. You may have been that lesson for her. And lessons are rarely forgotten. They echo long after the classroom is empty. So if you're wondering why she can't let you go, even while acting like you meant nothing, remember this: what's truly insignificant doesn't require suppression. What leaves no mark doesn't demand denial. The fact that she has to act indifferent tells you there was something real there, something strong enough to challenge her long after she chose to walk away. Your task now is simple, but not easy. Keep moving forward. Build a life that doesn't revolve around being chosen, but around becoming whole. Let your silence speak. Let your consistency replace explanations. And trust that what's meant for you won't need to be chased or decoded. Because one day, whether she admits it or not, she'll understand the real reason she couldn't let you go. And by then, the question won't be whether she still thinks about you. The question will be whether you even need the answer anymore. And as time passes, something subtle but powerful begins to happen inside you. The noise quiets down. The urge to check, to wonder, to replay conversations slowly loses its grip. You start to see the relationship not through emotion, but through clarity. You realize that what you miss isn't always the person, it's the version of yourself you were becoming back then, or the hope you attached to the connection. That realization is freeing because it puts your power back where it belongs, within you. When someone can't let you go, it's often because you represented a turning point. You came into her life during a season where she was open, searching, or vulnerable. You met her at a crossroads, and even if the roads split afterward, she remembers who was standing beside her at that moment. People don't forget those who witnessed their becoming. They may distance themselves, deny the significance, or distract their way forward, but memory has a long reach. There's also a deeper psychological truth at play. When you didn't abandon yourself to keep her, when you maintained your dignity even in pain, you broke a pattern she may have unconsciously expected. Many people are used to others shrinking, pleading, or reshaping themselves after rejection. When you didn't do that, when you chose self-respect over reassurance, it created cognitive dissonance. The mind struggles with what it can't categorize. You became an unresolved symbol rather than a closed chapter. This is why her behavior may fluctuate over time. One day she seems completely over it. The next she resurfaces with curiosity or nostalgia. It's not manipulation. It's inner conflict. Part of her wants certainty, and part of her knows something meaningful was lost. And instead of facing that truth directly, she oscillates between distance and remembrance. That back and forth isn't something you need to respond to. It's something you need to rise above, because the more grounded you become, the less her emotional state defines your own. You stop seeing her confusion as a sign to wait and start seeing it as confirmation that you mattered without needing to prove it. That shift is critical. Once you no longer need her to validate the past loosens its hold on you, and that's when true detachment begins, not coldness, not bitterness, but peace. There's a quiet confidence that forms when you've survived being misunderstood, undervalued, or let go of without explanation. You carry yourself differently. You speak less, but with intention. You listen more. You choose carefully. That evolution doesn't go unnoticed. Even if she never says it, she senses it. People can feel when someone has stepped into their center. And here's the irony most don't expect. The moment you no longer need her to see your worth is often the moment she sees it most clearly. Not because you changed for her, but because you changed for yourself. That kind of growth rewrites the emotional hierarchy. You are no longer reaching upward for approval. You're standing level, sometimes even ahead. And that can be deeply unsettling for someone who believed they had already moved on. But let this be clear, recognition from her is not the reward. Freedom is freedom from needing to be remembered, freedom from needing the story to end a certain way, freedom from measuring your value by someone else's ability to hold on. When you reach that place, you don't resent her for struggling to let you go. You understand it, and then you release it. Every meaningful connection leaves a mark. Some marks fade quietly. Others linger because they shaped who we became. You were one of those moments for her, a mirror, a challenge, a standard she may unconsciously compare others to. That's not something you control, and it's not something you need to carry. It simply is. So if she acts like you meant nothing while still being unable to let you go, don't take it personally and don't take it lightly. See it for what it is: evidence of impact without ownership, memory without access. And your role is not to reopen doors that closed for a reason, but to walk forward with the wisdom earned from having been there. Because the strongest ending is not when someone finally admits your value. It's when you no longer require their acknowledgement to know it was real. And the real hook is this: by the time she fully understands why she couldn't let you go, you'll already be living a life that no longer revolves around her holding on. And in that place of inner steadiness, something even more important happens. You stop romanticizing the past. You see it clearly, without filters, without longing clouding your judgment. You recognize both what was beautiful and what was broken. You accept that connection alone is not enough if it costs you your peace, your direction, or your self-respect. That clarity doesn't harden you, it sharpens you. It prepares you for healthier bonds, for relationships built on mutual choice rather than emotional confusion. When she looks back, if she does, she may remember how you made her feel seen without chasing her, how you offered presence without control, strength without cruelty. Those traits are rare, and rarity is often only appreciated after it's gone. But by then, you're no longer waiting to be rediscovered. You've already rediscovered yourself, and that changes everything. You're not standing in the doorway of the past anymore. You're moving forward with intention. There's a quiet dignity in outgrowing someone who once had emotional power over you. It doesn't require closure conversations or dramatic endings. It happens internally in moments when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over nostalgia, and growth over familiarity. Those choices accumulate. They reshape your identity. And once your identity shifts, the emotional gravity shifts with it. You begin to understand that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay, but everyone leaves something behind. Some leave scars, some leave lessons, and some leave standards you refuse to lower again. She may have been one of those lessons. And lessons don't need to return to be valuable. They need to be integrated. So if there's still a part of you wondering why she can't fully let you go, let this thought settle in. People struggle to release what reminds them of who they were before compromise, before confusion, before settling. You may represent a version of herself she hasn't found again. That's not your responsibility to fix. Your responsibility is to honor the growth the experience demanded from you. And as you continue forward, you'll notice something subtle but profound. You no longer define yourself by who walked away. You define yourself by who you became after. That's the true transformation. That's the real power. And here's the final hook to carry with you. Sometimes the reason she can't let you go is the same reason you must. Because one of you was meant to evolve, not return. And when you finally reach that stage, you stop asking why things unfolded the way they did. You stop needing timelines, explanations, or emotional receipts. You understand that some connections don't end because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of alignment. Two people can care deeply and still be moving in different directions. Accepting that truth is a sign of maturity, not loss. You also realize that being remembered is not the same as being chosen, and being chosen is not the same as being respected. What matters most is that you chose yourself when it was hardest to do so. That decision echoes forward into every future relationship, shaping how you set boundaries, how you communicate, and how you walk away when something no longer serves your growth. If she still carries your memory quietly, that's her journey. If she still feels the weight of what you represented, that's her lesson. You don't need to reopen old chapters to prove they were meaningful. The meaning is already written into who you've become. And the strongest confirmation of that is the calm you now carry. So let her confusion exist without becoming your concern. Let the past stay where it belongs behind you. Keep building, keep refining, keep choosing depth over distraction. Because the ultimate truth is this: the reason she can't let you go is not because you're meant to return, but because you were meant to change her, and you were meant to outgrow the need to be held on to.